Well, I fell asleep at the wheel.
And we're live.
I could hit go live.
I was actually enjoying the conversation with you guys, so.
Good morning, Nudelberg Daily Huddle.
Good morning, fellas.
Can't go wrong with Prince.
I'm gonna show you what it's all about. Don't have to be rich, be my girl. Don't have to be cool to rule my world. Ridiculous, I'm more compatible with. I just want your extra time and your kiss.
Yeah, baby.
Good morning, Nudelberg Daily Huddle.
How is everybody?
How is everyone doing? Welcome to Tuesday, the first Tuesday. Are we going to call it Takeover Tuesday? What are we going to do here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now it's Takeover Tuesday and Thursday. I think it's the day in the Daily Huddle.
It's just, you know what? Let's freak people out. Maybe I'll take a Tuesday every once in a while. So who the hell knows?
Not that it matters. As always, we're here to share good content, good stories, best practices with our community, and happy to have everybody be a part of it. Good morning, Joni Knight. You'll be at Avon Louis today, won't you, sir?
I just was communicating with Joni. So, I'm having lunch there. They're now fully open and business lunch today. I'm actually wearing pants today, fellas. Ladies and gentlemen, the man is wearing pants. So, so it was a unique kind of thing, man. It's like, I don't know, man. Here we go. Pants.
Turnover Tuesday. I love it. Taking me back to the football days. Turnover Tuesday, baby. Eddie Dykes, good morning. Mitch Ziffer, good morning. Lloyd, good morning. I appreciate the message yesterday. Jeremy, I appreciate the post this morning. Another morning for me at 4:30. I know you're up at 4, but much appreciated with the support and the shout out. So for those of you who are not in the Facebook group, posted the Prince song Kiss, because today is National Kiss and Makeup Day. So that'll drive some of the content this morning, but that's the relevance behind the song.
So I got a couple of things. First of all, congratulations to the Miami Heat last night. What a great turnaround. What a great sports story from where they were last year to where they are this year. And let me tell you something, they're a fun basketball team to watch.
They're young, they're competitive, they play sound, they're talented. They're young and talented. Like Tyler Hero, Duncan, Bam. Like you're missing an elite scorer to round out the squad, but they're not that far off from being an East contender, 1-2 years down the road. My prediction is Oladipo to the Heat in 2 years.
Oh my God. Wow. That really, and when you heard Stan Van Gundy talk about it, Oladipo's a pain in the ass, man. You put him on the Heat, man, they become dangerous.
He trains down here in the offseason. He trains down here at DBC Fit, which is it's a functional training gym down in downtown Miami. And so he's here all the time. It just makes a whole lot of sense to me that he ends up here.
I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, they were already planning that the Heat would play the Bucks. The Heat are the number 2 team in the league in 3-point percentage, and the Bucks are the worst at defending 3 points. So that ought to make for something really interesting. But all of the basketball has been great. So congratulations to the Miami Heat and all good stuff. On the sports side, the Miami Dolphins announced that they will allow fans in the stadium 20% capacity. So 13,000 people will be allowed in the stadium. I don't know, Mark, you interested in going to a game?
Not a chance. Not
a chance.
You catch me at a Dolphin game this year.
You couldn't,
the only way I'm going to a football game is if we go see Jake play a game. It's the only way I'm seeing a football game this year. So I love it. Good morning, Jakesters in the house. He said Heat in 3. I love it. I love it. So some more shout outs. Happy birthday to a good friend of ours, Cornelius Bennett. So I've spent a lot of good time smoking cigars with him down here in Atlanta. Shout out to Byron, who made that connection for me when I was in Atlanta one time, and we were at an unbelievable smoke shop in Buckhead. So happy birthday, Cornelius.
So that actually validates you are the company you keep. And those times that we get together when all the boys are together smoking cigars and talking shit and doing stuff, those are some of my favorite times in life. You know, when we just got together with Byron a couple of weeks ago, it was super fantastic, always a good time. Before we leave the Prince thing, just want to remind Biscuit. Oh yeah, Doug got Biscuit. That's his nickname. That's exactly right, man. And you should see that man hit a golf ball, man. Him and LT can go crazy.
Right.
Before we leave the Prince thing, if anybody remembers, not too long ago, Usher did a tribute to Prince that was absolutely off the chart, and that should be the next one-man show. Is seeing Usher do Prince, because he brought him to life, man. Just very similar to the way Ray Charles, that whole, thing with Jamie Foxx, that was Ray Charles. So.
And just so people know, it is not easy to do the research to find a song, because National Kiss Day, you want to stay on theme and you want to stay on brand and make it something about Kiss. But if it wasn't Prince Kiss, the options were very thin to go for a song.
Well, you can always use the band Kiss and go, want to rock and roll. I mean, there's options. I mean, come on.
Sure.
If you ever get stuck, my son, please reach out to me. I am here as a resource to you. I am of counsel.
I love it. So staying in the theme of current events and what's going on, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, but the stock index made a change. So normally it's the 30 biggest stocks that they take to tell you what's happening in the market and to forecast what's going forward. 3 are out, 3 are in. ExxonMobil is out, Pfizer is out, and Raytheon is out. So
can you imagine? Wow.
Pharma and a defense company are out. Salesforce, Amgen, and Honeywell are all in. And what do those 3 companies have in common? Technology. Lots of forward-facing technology, helping people use technology to be innovative. Honeywell is manufacturing, Amgen is biotech, and Salesforce is obviously CRM. But we talked about it last week. Data, technology, how are you leveraging the tools of today to continue to make yourself better? So pay attention. Things are happening out there that are telling you what's going to happen moving forward. How are you going to leverage those things and do them and use them to get better?
I agree. In the department of what you better be careful what you ask for and be grateful for, yesterday Zoom went down. So 6 months ago, 70% of the population had no idea what Zoom was. Yesterday Zoom went down and it was like the end of the world. It was like that really came crashing down. So it reminds me of an old comedy skit. Louis C.K. Was flying on a plane, and like somebody next to him would go, "Oh my God, the internet went down," and he goes, "We're in a tin can in the air." Goes, what are you talking about, man? So be grateful for what you have, man. It's just crazy. It did, the schools are now leaning on Zoom, and so 300 million plus users a day. You want something to pray for and be grateful for. Be careful if that goes down. We're all in shit.
So before we get to the National Kiss and Makeup, which is the main theme of the day, staying on the stock market, staying on what's happening in business, Apple's recent valuation hit $2 trillion. So obviously, when you think about Apple, everybody thinks about the iPhone. I remember for me being a young guy growing up in school, Apple computers were new. They were user-friendly. They had great games on them. They made learning on a computer really fun. But then the game changed when the iPhone came out. Not everybody was using Apple laptops. That wasn't like the thing. But when the iPhone came out, everybody got it. And so to give you an idea of their ecosystem right now, they've got 1 billion users, 1.6 billion devices. being used. So there's 3.2 billion smartphone users in the world. 1.6 billion people are using an Apple smart device. And the way they categorize themselves is really unbelievable. The words they use, and I think there's a lot that we can learn from this, but they're designed to help make technology more personal. And in our huddle prior to this, we were talking about some of the companies that we're working with and how it's so critical in today's world to be personal, right? To approach people in a one-to-one. So while they're designing tools to help make technology more personal, they look at themselves as a design company selling tools that can improve people's lives. They're not a technology company. They're not an entertainment company. They're not a smart device company. They are designing tools to improve people's lives. And the thing that they do first in everything is put the user experience front and center. So
it's interesting. It's interesting that you bring that up, because if anybody goes to the why video from Simon Sinek, when he talks about his golden circles, Apple's one of those companies that it's not, the product that they produce, it's why they produce the product, and clearly Steve Jobs changed the way that we live and all that kind of stuff. So big shout out to JJ Pelletier, a good friend of ours, entrepreneur in the wine business. Please, big welcome to the huddle, and everybody reach out to him and say hello. And you guys keep making jokes about Seth Turnoff. Well played, John Son. That is a turn on. That's great.
I love it. So, so continuing on, today is National Kiss and Make Up Day, which obviously is about forgiveness. And forgiveness is a tough thing, but we talk about mental real estate, we talk about emotional real estate, and there's no more expensive real estate than holding on to a grudge or holding on to negative feelings, or allowing that to take up space in either your brain and what you're thinking, or in your emotions and how you're feeling. So on National Kiss and Make Up Day, I did a little research, and Harvard Health put out.
Harvard.
Yeah, you gotta go. Yeah, you gotta come on. You gotta go to the best,
Harvard.
Right? If you're gonna go look for data,
Right?
and you're gonna go look for it, you gotta go to the best. So Harvard Health put out a study in May, and they put out this method. It's called the REACH method, on what to focus on how to forgive people, because they associate forgiveness with lower levels of depression, lower levels of anxiety, lower levels of hostility, reduced substance abuse, higher self-esteem, and greater self-satisfaction. So understanding that how you feel there's a direct relation to how you forgive.
I think one of the interesting points about this is a great topic, by the way, to talk about. I think one of the things that people get locked in on is they think about forgiveness as it pertains to somebody else. Forgiving yourself is a home run. People beat the shit out of themselves, 60,000 thoughts through the brain every day. Most of them, I think 90% of them are negative. You talk worse to yourself than you'd ever allow anybody to talk to you on the outside. So forgiveness, this method actually works internally as well as it does externally. So I like the REACH thing. I think it's a good takeaway and a good way to remember it.
100%. And there's really two sides to forgiveness. There's decisional forgiveness and emotional forgiveness, like making the decision that you're going to do it and then actually releasing the emotions and doing all of those things are two very different things. So REACH is the method, REACH, and I'll give you what each thing stands for, but the R is for recall. So thinking back to what happened in an objective way, because the goal is to come to a clear understanding of the wrong that was done, right? Pulling yourself out of the hurt of what actually happened and being able to look at it objectively is a tough thing to do, but it's the first step in being able to forgive. The E is for empathize, which we've talked about empathy a lot, how critical it is to leadership, but try to understand what that person might have been going through in order to do that thing to you. So whether it's top-down leadership, whether it's person to person in business, whether it's in your family life and it's a uncle, a sister, a mother, a brother, whatever it is, put yourself in that person's shoes and think about what could be happening for that person in order for them to do the thing to you that caused the harm. The A, altruistic gift, addressing your own shortcomings. This is extreme ownership. What did you do within the situation? What did you do that possibly could have brought that onto you? How could it be your fault? Is there anything that you could have done, not even to cause it, but maybe in response to it, to help that situation further?
Generally speaking, that's where the big learnings are, when you figure out what role you played in it, because we all play a role in it. It's a dance, it's not a solo. You have some role in all of these things, and when you identify that, that's where the big gigantic learnings are.
That's exactly right. So the C is for commit, right? And the ways to commit to something, the two easiest ways to commit to something are to write it down and tell people about it, right? So if you're forgiving somebody at work, put it in your journal, right? Document it, put it down in your place where you keep things written, and then tell somebody at home about it. Hey, you know what? I made the decision today that I'm going to forgive so-and-so for that thing, because the more you write it down, the more you verbalize it and put it out there to the world, the more it becomes concrete in your behavior, right? And then the H, which is the final thing, is to hold on to that forgiveness. It's more about changing how you felt in that moment. So when you go back and think about the thing that happened to you again, instead of being sucked back into that moment and being brought into the feeling of, oh, wow, that really hurt, you hold on to your forgiveness, and that's where you change the feeling of how you actually felt in that moment. So the reach method as a part of forgiveness, unbelievable takeaway to be able to forgive people.
So I love that. But, while we're on the word kiss, I can't help myself but go towards something that I taught for years. I was taught it and I passed it on to everybody. And that's keep it simple, stupid. We as a culture complicate things. We always put layers and layers and layers. And part of what forgiveness is, it's really simple. Just why carry the grudge? Man, if that occupies any part of your brain, right, it's taking away from something you can absorb or something you can offer. There really is no place for it. It really is negative, and all those negative kind of thoughts. So in your entire life, if today is you walk away with the kiss, keep it simple, stupid, you will see that, most of the things we do, we overcomplicate it and just say, hey man, I'm gonna forgive and forget, which I love.
And so you don't necessarily have to forget it. You just have to forgive it and hold on to that forgiveness and move forward with it. So as you're doing that, because the negativity will affect everything. Like, talk about sleep, talk about all the things that go into affecting your mood. Nothing more than holding on to that core, because you can feel it. When you're in a dialogue with somebody or you're sitting with somebody, you can feel when they have something festering, even if it's not directed at you, that there's something that's bothering that person, that's turning them to a negative state, and you can feel that.
So let's relate it to the sales game. That's why we're all here. Sure. How as professionals do we, deal with this? Is there an instance in your life, in your professional life, that, where you did something wrong, but you just sort of carried it and, you didn't get rid of it, so if it's somebody did something to you or you did something, what jumps into your brain?
So there's two, I think. There's some that maybe aren't necessarily, like, I've put negative feelings on it. Like, you get into a conversation with somebody and there's real interest and you're like, great, here are the next steps. And then they go ghost. And all of a sudden, I'll take that personal as like, come on, man. Like, why would you do that to me? But instead of feeling that way, if I let go of it and I forgive and I follow up with a, hey, I'm not sure why we lost track of our conversation or where we got our wires crossed, but I'd love to revisit the conversation because I had felt like there was interest there, but maybe I was wrong and there wasn't. And I own that and put it out there to them with a how can we move forward. That then allows me to push the conversation forward instead of being nasty and being like, oh, well, this effing guy doesn't, know how to operate, or why would you lead me on? Why? For what? That's all.
Well,
to me.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. And this is a real problem in sales is ego. Your ego gets out in the middle of it and you just won't allow yourself to admit you made a mistake or admit that, wasn't all your fault or their fault or whatever. Who gives a shit whose fault it was? The outcomes are always better if your behavior is, I want to live in a neutral world. That goes back to Trevor and what you talk about neutral. Neutral is living in the middle with I don't need to overlove or overhate, or, if I can live in the middle and just know that there's good people in my life and I'm doing good. That's a very difficult way to practice your life. But one of the things that I really took away from the article, and I really appreciate you sending it to me, was that all of these things that we talk about take practice. They're called to practice, put them into practice, which means you can't, all the stuff I had a group yesterday and we're deep into doing some LinkedIn prospecting and stuff like that. You have to practice it. You're not going to learn how to ride a bike in the garage. You just got to go. You got to get up and go and skin your knees and shit like that. So, I love that the article pointed out, practice small acts of this stuff, small things every day,
Shout out to Ed, Heavens to Murgatroyd.
You got it, man. I love it.
Who both said they really needed to hear this morning. Look, things are hard. Everybody's dealing with negativity or problems. People are being furloughed from furloughed to a permanent, removal from an organization. That's hard to deal with. And you're living in an environment that it might not actually have been your fault. It has nothing to do with who you are. You could have been crushing it and supposed to still be in your spot, but things happen. So letting go of that anger or that negativity and allowing yourself to just say, this is what it is. It's not personal. How do I move forward with the right foot?
So let's look at something particular. Jessica Tobin, that's a real situation that you're dealing with. And maybe this is the thing that pushes you in a direction that you would have never gone in other than this, layoff or whatever. And so it's all perspective, that when you zoom up and watch the movie, or if you're sitting in the crowd watching the movie and you go, oh no, there's a layoff and that's terrible. But you fast forward, you hit the fast forward button, and then the next quarter of your life, that job that you love, that passion, where I tell people, what would you do if money didn't matter? Maybe that's sitting out there. And so, I know that sounds easier said than done, Jessica, but if you want, reach out. I'm happy to walk you through it. We'll have a cup of coffee, but that's really, really true. And I'm glad that this is hitting the nerve with everybody, because this is real stuff. These are real emotions that people are dealing with. And if you stuff these emotions, it's how you get sick.
There you go. And Donna, holding a grudge is letting someone live rent-free in your head.
That's a good one.
There's no more expensive real estate than your thought and your brain space. So make sure the things that you're putting in there have a positive effect on you and are moving you towards where you want to be. So we're way past our hard stop. We're 8:23.
Last thing, I just want to great job. Shout out to you. Great job. Great topic. Certainly got everything going. Last thing I want to talk about, Larry Long said it's Taco Tuesday. And that reminds me that the people who are more interested in food than in their job, those are the ones that are walking around with a stain on their shirt. Oh, it's Taco Tuesday, man. So in my sales room, when they came in and said, oh, it's Taco Tuesday, out. Goodbye. Get out of here. You're more interested in lunch. So Larry, you and I can go back and forth on that one. You guys have an awesome, awesome day, because it's terrific Tuesday.
Let's go. Shay Money.